and welcome to my foam rolling tutorial. In today's video, we're going to look at some foam rolling exercises that you can do to relieve tight shoulders and hips. All you need for today's workout is a foam roller. If you don't have one at home, I am going to show you how to make one with a piece of PVC pipe and an old yoga mat. So while it's not quite the same, it is a good compromise in a pinch. You're going to take your mat and you're going to roll the roller all the way until you reach the end of the mat. And you're going to take your tape and just fasten so it doesn't come loose when we are rolling around. So maybe not the prettiest foam roller, but it will definitely do in a pinch. Behind me I have a selection of foam rollers, starting with our solid foam roller. This would be a lot more gentle for a beginner. It wouldn't put as much pressure, so it might be a good place to start if you have sensitive skin. Then we have our traditional foam roller, which has got a PVC pipe inside of it. Also really good for beginners. And then you get your more focused foam rollers, which have little knobbly bits, and that's to help get a little bit deeper into the muscle. Then we go over to our handheld roller, which basically looks like a rolling pin, kind of functions like one too. This is great for people that can't get down onto the floor, have any wrist or knee problems that prevent them from being able to foam roll. And then if you really want to get focused on those muscles under the fascia, then you're going to need something like a tennis ball, a massage ball, or even one of these massage balls with spikes, which are also really good for circulation. So what is foam rolling? Well, foam rolling is basically a form of self-massage with the intention of releasing tight muscle fibers and any adhesions around the muscle. And it's similar to a massage, but it's not as focused. So when we use a foam roller, we're using our own body weight against that foam roller to apply pressure to not only the fascia and the muscle, but also the underlying veins and bones. And when we restrict that blood flow, we are cutting off the blood flow to that area, and as soon as we release that pressure, fresh oxygenated blood flows into those muscle tissues, and it helps to hydrate into the fascia and into the muscle tissue. So foam rolling has been proven very effective for muscle recovery after workouts. It's also proven effective before workouts to help with your mobility and range of motion. So today, as I mentioned, we're going to look at some exercises that you can do for the shoulders, but it's important not only to work the areas that are bothering you, but also to work their opposing muscles. So we're going to also focus on the chest muscles, and if you have a tennis ball, that does make it a bit easier to get that pressure where you want it, but a foam roller will do. So who can foam roll? I wish that I could say everybody, but there are unfortunately some pre-existing conditions and contraindications that make foam rolling unsafe. So if you have any of the following conditions, please consult a health practitioner first. Now, first is recent injury or inflammation in the area. Rather avoid foam rolling if you have had a recent trauma to any parts of the body. Next is diabetes. It can cause injuries. Then we have hypertension, so foam rolling can increase blood pressure, which is why if you suffer from hypertension, you should definitely stay away from it. Rather use one of these handheld rollers than going down onto the floor. And pregnant ladies should take care, because as the body prepares for labor, it starts releasing the relaxin hormone, which makes joints more mobile. So you would have to be very careful if you foam rolled. Then anyone with arthritis or any joint conditions will also have to take great care, as often we are putting a lot of pressure on the knees and wrists as we roll around. we're almost ready to start with our foam rolling workout. But before we do, just a few important things. You'll notice my hair is tied up. That's because I have been trapped under the foam roller a few times by my hair, so it's better to have that hair out of the way. And you also want to make sure that you're wearing quite tight fitting clothing. That also tends to get trapped underneath the foam roller, and we don't want that happening. The great thing about foam rolling is that you don't have to spend hours foam rolling every day. Just a few minutes has been proven effective. We're going to start with our neck, work our way down to our shoulders, then we're going to turn over and work into the chest. We're going to take that foam roller, place it down behind you, lie yourself down and bring your neck onto the foam roller as if it was a pillow. You can make yourself comfortable, and we're going to take our chin from one shoulder to the other as if we're shaking our head no. Then we're going to nod our head yes. You may need to move the roller up a little bit. We want to get into the crown of the head with this one. Then we're going to turn our neck 45 degrees, placing the roller onto the side of the neck. We're going to take our chin down to our shoulder and up towards the ceiling. From here, coming to center, turning 45 degrees to the other side, chin down to shoulder, up towards the ceiling. Coming back to center, we're going to make our way up to seated position so that we can grab that roller and place it underneath us as we lie ourselves back down. You want to scoop your hips down so that the foam roller is at the top of the shoulders. Now we're going to interlace our fingers, creating a little basket to support the head, and we want our elbows to be relaxed down towards the floor. Keeping our glutes connected to the floor, we're going to bend and straighten the legs to roll along the roller, just applying pressure throughout the upper back across the scapula. The foam roller does live up to its name. It does tend to make its way backwards, so every now and then you might need to stop and move yourself forward. So if at any time you feel that there's a trigger point that you want to work a little bit deeper into, you're welcome to pause the video and to just hold some pressure on that spot. So you might need to move yourself forward a little bit. We've traveled. From here, we're going to start lifting up the hips, being sure to squeeze the glutes and keep the core active. You'll feel a little bit more pressure onto the back, the upper back now with the hips lifted. If that's too much, you're welcome to keep those hips down. Just bending and straightening into the legs, going down past the bra strap and all the way up to the top of the shoulders. We're going to do a few more of these, and then we're going to start targeting left and right side of the shoulders. You can play around with bringing your elbows together now, which will draw the shoulder blades apart, allowing the roller just to glide easily over them. And readjust if you need to. This time, as we roll up, we're going to look towards our right armpit. We're going to stay here for a few rolls, just going up and down, looking towards the right, applying more pressure onto the right side. Left shoulder is lifted away from the roller. And then we're going to take it over to the left, doing exactly the same thing, using those heels and those knees to straighten and bend into the legs. Coming back to center, seeing if we can go all the way to the base of the neck. Adjusting to make some space. And for our next one, we're going to extend the arms, bringing palm to the back of the top hand. We're going to roll up and down. So with with this one, you need to be especially careful with long hair not to get trapped under the roller. And now we're going to just start applying a little bit of pressure. We're going to hold it for a few seconds, then roll it a bit further down, hold it, and down, and repeat that going back up. If the neck is uncomfortable, you can bring those hands back into your cradle position, making sure not to pull the elbows together and put pressure on the neck. So this time going for a slower roll. Now through those rolls, you probably found a very tight trigger point or two. We're going to take the roller, we're going to find that spot, we're just going to hold a little bit of pressure. If that's too much, you can go just above or just below that trigger point. You can also add a small little movement instead of just a static hold. So by applying pressure, you should start feeling that trigger point release, and that's when you can move on and try find the next one. I'm going to go over to the other side, find whichever knot that side was causing the most discomfort, and let's just apply a little bit of pressure to it. So option of either adding a bit of movement or just applying the pressure and holding it. Coming back to center and just going for a few up and down rolls. Bring our hands down, come up into a seated position. So for our next one, we're going to work in between the scapula. This one can be a little bit tricky if you haven't done it before, and it's where one of these long full body rollers does make life a bit easier. We're going to bring the roller, place our sit bones on it, right at the base, and we're going to roll down so that the roller is in between the shoulder blades, and you want to take those feet nice and wide, interlace the hands. If you fall off and out of it, don't worry, you won't be the first. So do small little movements, just bringing chin up to ceiling, trying to relax as much as we can, working in between the scapular blades. If you prefer, you can just soften down into it as well. You can hold it here without any movements. Bringing yourself off that roller, taking that roller to the bra strap one last time, and just doing a few more rolls up and over. Taking elbows out, opening up into the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Coming up into a seated position, we're going to turn onto our side, bringing our forearm down on the other side of the roller. We're going to work into the lats. This can be very painful and uncomfortable. So if it's very sore, don't put too much pressure. We want to get it right under the armpits. We're going to take our weight forward and backwards. Find any tense points, you can just hold that roller there so you feel some kind of release. We're going to keep moving that roller down every few seconds. From here, taking it a little bit lower, same thing, mashing backwards and forwards. Holding it where you feel tight spot in the muscles. And lowering the last time. We're going to take that over to the other side. Bringing our forearm past the roller, placing the roller just under the armpit, and then lowering ourselves down onto it, relaxing into that bottom arm and mashing backwards and forwards. Holding it, any tight spots, Just breathing into it. If it's very uncomfortable, hold that roller just above or below. And we're going to take it down slightly. And last time, taking it down. Remember, you can always pause the video and work on any body part a little bit longer, a bit deeper, if you feel the need. Now we're going to start working into the front of the body, into the pectorals. We're going to take our roller out to the side and we're going to lie down onto our stomach. We want the roller at a bit of an angle so that we can get it into this triangle here, just by the shoulder. We're going to relax down onto it. And we're going to rotate the hand up and down. Can be quite uncomfortable. If that's too much, you can just hold it here. You can always release the amount of pressure by pressing more into your other hand. Tennis ball also works really well here to get into those tight chest muscles, which often we think our shoulders are the problem, but it can actually be these chest muscles. Moving a little bit deeper in. Trying to keep the neck as relaxed and neutral as you can. Last few seconds here. I'm going to go over to the other side. So once again, taking it at a diagonal, bringing it to the top of the shoulder and rotating that hand up and down. Bringing it a little further down. Last few seconds here. We'll bring the roller in front of us, placing our hands down in front. We're going to press ourselves back and into a child's pose. From here, you can either take your knees out to the sides if it's more comfortable, or you can keep them together. We're going to place our roller just down in front of us. Bring those fingers around it. We're going to roll it forward, going onto the forearms, dropping the head down, and bringing the glutes down towards the heels. We're going to roll ourselves back up. We're going to do a few of these where we roll down and then we're going to hold it on our last one. So rolling down, massaging into the forearms, bringing the glutes back to the heels, tucking the chin, rolling all the way up. Deep breath in at the top and exhale as roll down. Relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the head down, stretching into that lower back as well as into the shoulders. Deep breath at the top, exhale down. Second last one. See if you can get that roller a little bit higher on the forearms this time. Last one, this time we're going to stay down. With every exhale, just trying to soften and relax as much as you can. Into a seated position. I'm going to move on to the lower back and the hips now. The one thing you want to avoid when you are femoring the lower back is putting the roller behind you and just placing yourself down, because that does put a lot of pressure into the lumbar spine. Instead, you want to go from a glute bridge position, making sure that feet are flat, knees are bent at 90 degrees, our back is nice and flat. Then we take our roller, lift our hips, squeezing the glutes. We place it just at the top of the glute, so not onto the spine, the lumbar spine, but onto the top of the glute. From here, we're going to take our feet a little bit wider, and we're going to go just from left to right, like our windshield wiper movements. So taking knees down towards the floor. If if you have 2 foam rollers, I often like to do this with a second roller either behind my neck or behind my shoulders, so that I'm really maximizing my foam rolling time. But if you don't, it's just as good without it. From here, we're going to lift up our knees. You can also lift one at a time. And we're going to keep going in a semicircle, drawing the knees in towards the body and then dropping them down. As we warm into this, we'll make that circle a little bit bigger. Hands can be down to support your weight. Dropping those knees a little bit further towards the floor. I'm going to take it into a circle. We're going to drop them down and bring them to the chest. Drawing a circle in the air with those knees. 2 more, and we're going to change direction. Change. And we're going to come to center. We're going to drop one leg down. And as we're bringing it back, drop the other leg. As if we're doing some bicycles. So you can move the roller lower, maybe a little bit higher, just as long as it's not putting pressure on that lumbar spine. And see what feels good for you. Knees to chest, dip those toes down and bring them up. As you dip those toes down, you'll feel a little bit of space being created in those lower vertebrae, almost like putting yourself in traction. On your last one, draw those knees up to the chest, wrap your fingers around, and you're just going to hold it for a few moments, drawing these in towards our chest. Come out of this 1 foot down at a time, press into those heels, squeeze the bum, and you'll take that roller out. Then we're going to take the roller behind us, and this is the tricky part. We're going to get ourselves onto the roller. We're going to sit down on the roller, and this can feel very uncomfortable if you're not used to it, with the sit bones having direct pressure from the roller. We're not going to stay here too long. We're going to just bend and straighten the legs to roll over the glutes. And then we're going to start focusing into side of the glute and into the hip, and you'll be surprised at how uncomfortable this can be. If it's too painful, rather just spend a few moments there, and we'll build up a tolerance towards it. Don't continue if it's too painful. We're going to take our hands behind us, take right leg, cross it over left, and then we're going to shift that right knee down towards the floor until we are on the side of that right glute. From here, you can keep your left hand where it is, or you can place it onto your right calf or onto the thigh, whatever feels more comfortable for you. We're going to go up and over. So this can be very uncomfortable. If that's the case, you'll want to keep that left hand onto the floor, or you'll want to limit how much weight you are putting down onto the roller. We're just going up and down. Then we're going to take the knee down and up. So you want to be tilting towards the hip that you're working into. And then we're going to make it into circular movements. And up and down. We can go back to that side shortly. Let's go back to center, rolling over the glutes. Bring it just to the top of the hamstrings, bending the knees. We're going to fold ourselves forward. Just working, small bend in the knees here, stretching into the lower back. We're going to take it over to the other side. So once again, bringing our hands down behind us, taking left knee this time over right, tilting down so that that knee is facing towards the floor. An option of either keeping right hand here to minimize the amount of weight on the roller, or if you want to apply more pressure, you'll take it across the body. So from here, I'm just going up and down, working into the side of that glute. Once again, if it's very painful, you don't have to spend too long here. And then I'm going to take that knee down and up. And into those circular movements. Back to center, we're going to go to our original side. This time, we're going to keep that bottom leg down. We're going to turn onto our side, just going up and over. Starting to get a bit lower in the leg. Supporting the weight if this is too much. Up and down. Now we're going to go back to the left side. Left leg at the bottom, right leg on top. Tilting down onto that left side, rolling up and down. And back and forth. Working your way down onto the mat. I hope you enjoyed this foam roller tutorial and that the shoulders and the hips are going to feel tons better after this. Remember, you don't need long, 5 to 10 minutes a day is all you need to keep those shoulders and hips healthy and happy.